First job, check out the roof and see where I'm going to put it, because I've already got a 100-watt panel up there. The one that I've got is exactly the same specification, but a slightly different size. Things have got more efficient, so I'm going to put it up there and see where I can get it and map it out on the roof. Use the box that it came with, play about with the box on the roof and see which way you want it. There's the other panel over there. I was thinking putting it here, but I can't get to the fixings over there, so I might try it the other way. Got to put it round the same way as I have the other panel, and now put the fittings on and map out where they're going to go. Right, using the box that it came in, you can use that as a guide to see where your fittings can go, and then you can mark them up with an indelible pen using the box as a template. There you go, nice and simple. As you can see, nice and simple. You mark it up and then you know where you've got to fix your panel to. If you do it this way, you can then fix all these to your panel, so that when you come up, all you've got to do is drill these holes into the aluminium frame that you're picking up, and then after that you can make your fixings. You can put some Silkaflex underneath it or whatever, and that'll act as a nice bonding agent too. So you screw and you glue effectively. You've marked out your holes already where you want them drilled, so that's easy enough. You've done that on the roof. You can then finish off by drilling the holes on the ground, so you're not putting any strain on the frame, and use the box that you've already marked up, because as you're drilling it will save all the plastic going over your grass or wherever, and it's nice and easy to clear up from a piece of cardboard. Anyway, here goes. Ensure that your drill is sharp. As I say, this stuff is awful, it really is. You can see what it's like. It's murder, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, but if your drill isn't sharp, if you look at that, you can see how sharp the drill is on here. If it struggles at all, don't bother, because all you're going to do is break your mounts. So if you haven't got a sharp drill, don't try and tackle these, because you'll more than likely break them, especially these ones here. They'll just split, and then after that the thing will be useless. This thermoset plastic is brilliant. It's very, very, very strong, and you can see it's thick. There's no messing around with it, so there's no way that these are going to fail on top of your roof. If you've secured them and you've mastic them down, use Silkaflex or something like that, that's going to really hold well. It will never move. But if you bugger up the drilling in the first place, you've had it. So it's just a warning, so be careful. There we go. By doing it in the box, I've got all this stuff, but look how easy it's going to be to clean. If I had it out here on the concrete or on the grass trying to do the drilling, it'd be a hell of a job. Just nice and simple. Use the box that it came in, not only for positioning, but also to clear up the mess that you're making as well. I'm using a template underneath to position the standoffs, and then after that I'm securing it with Silkaflex, which is the best stuff you can use really, Silkaflex 221. So that'll act as an adhesive, as well as the screw fixings of course, and the screw fixings I'm going to seal both sides. So a bit of Silkaflex on the heads and also on the back stops anything from getting in, and make sure everything's fine. Right, that's all the support clamps put on, and they're all drilled, suitably drilled in the right position to line up with the roof. So now I'm just going to leave it and let that dry. I've got a bit of work to do, so I'll be gone for a couple of hours. Then after that I can hoik it on the roof. Back on the roof again. This is where the panel is going to go. It's going to go lengthwise along here. So it's going to miss this, but this is the control box. So that's where all my gear is, and that's where the cable is routed to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, take the cables in down here, alright, and seal them up, but I am not going to join them here. For joining them here, it's just asking for trouble, corrosion and that, with all the UV expansion and contraction. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cables down into the control box, then I'll do the connections, the proper connections down there. Right, we're coming up to high sun now, and I'm putting in about 3 amps. It's dropping back a little bit because both of these batteries are charged, so it's just trickling it in now. It'll just drop off in a little while, and it will actually reduce virtually to nothing. But that's what's going in at the moment. Now with the other panel, bearing in mind that we're on the 6th of June, I won't have any problems getting 5 amps in, so that won't be any hassle. The needle will be pinned on here at midday, so I'm not really worried about that. And I can charge both batteries anyway, so one's for the cab battery, so that does the engine, and this one here is the one that does the habitation. So you know, it's nice and simple. There's my control panel here. You can see we're on BST at the moment, so 1 o'clock it'll have to be for high sun. So everything is working here, no problems at all. So I'll take this panel off, and that will give me access to the roof vent. I can come in, connect on here, and then do what I need to do to finish off. Right, next job, get all the screws out and get that panel off up there, so that I can get the cables in from the solar panel. Right, panel is glued down with Silkaflex now, plenty of it, and I'm just about to screw it down to finalise it. Make sure you clean off the aluminium or whatever you're fixing to, so it's nice and clean and has a good bond. I've fed through the cables already. They're going into the control box, and when the weather turns rough tomorrow I can do that. Oh, I'll get a good view from up here. See the old jet skis out there? They're going around the island, no doubt. South end in the distance. Anyway, enough of that. Right, the panel is now fixed, and it's also glued down with Silkaflex, and that will now hold plenty of it, so no hassles there. I've got the cables going into the top vent where the control box is, so effectively the outside is now finished. There's nothing else to do here, so I've now got my 200 watt panels. There you go. You can see where it's come out up here. That's the vent where the cables are coming in, and I've got a red and black there, so I can now sort out what I'm going to do with them. But at least I'm inside, because tomorrow it's expected to rain, so I should be okay. I'll be in the dry working. But that's simple, isn't it? And then the next thing to do is to connect it up to the controller, and then away we go. All the wiring is done now. There was no point me showing you, because it's the same for any van. It's just the way that you route it and everything else. Now as you can see, I've got just less than 1 amp going in now. It's quite late during the day. It's 3:35 now. It's very overcast. There's no sun, and as you can see, both batteries are completely charged, and all that's going in now is sort of 3/4 of an amp, 750 milliamps or whatever, going in to the battery itself. This is the run that goes to the actual battery itself. The input of course will still be very high, and as I say, the batteries are fully charged and it's flashing, because there's nothing more to do with either the cab battery or the habitation battery. Now the only thing I can do is give you a wiring diagram, because this is parallel, which means that both solar panels are connected together before they go into the controller. There's 2 ways of doing this, series or parallel, but if you've got the same panels, i.e. the same size, I've got 200 watt panels, then I decided, especially with this kind of controller, which is a pulse modulation type, it's not the most pulse width modulation, it's not the most efficient in the world. The MPPTs are more efficient, but they cost you an arm and a leg. So whereas this was about, I don't know, about 13 quid I think it was, an MPPT controller. An MPPT controller would cost somewhere in the region of about £130, and I wasn't prepared to pay that. Right, now the wiring, as I said, is simple. I'll show you that now.
Right, to save messing around, I've just done this little diagram, which is nice and simple, quite straightforward, but this is what it is. That's all it is. You've got your two panels, two solar panels, and if you can see there, they're directly connected together. It doesn't matter how you connect them, but obviously with me I wanted to connect them inside. Then after that you take a wire from the negative down to the controller, and a wire from the positive down to your controller, and then your controller does the business, and then you output it positive to your battery terminal, negative to the battery terminal. It's as simple as that. You can make it as complicated as you want to, but that is basically it. Now that's known as parallel charging, and what that will do, that will keep the voltage the same as the panels. i.e. if they kick out 17 volt, that will turn it around to be 12 volt. But the thing is that if that is capable of generating, say for instance 5 amps in the best conditions, and that one's 5 amps as well, you add the amperage together, so that then gives you 10 amps that your solar controller can chuck into your battery, but the voltage doesn't change. The other way of doing it is series charging, and that way doubles the voltage. Now you just got to make sure you do it right, but if you get the same size panels, then just go for parallel charging. It's so easy, and if you make these connections here between the two panels and the inside the van, you only need to bring it down and make the waterproof. You don't need waterproof connections, you just make them inside the van itself, which makes life nice and easy. Anyway, I hope that's been easy for you, but get a decent sized panel. Don't mess around with you know, sort of small ones. Ideally, if you want something that's going to give you off grid, then you want 200 watts. You really do. I had a 100 watt panel fitted, which is okay. Brand new battery, don't forget, I've got here. It's less than a month old. But irrespective of that, it just wasn't any good. Sort of 3-4 months either side of June the 21st, which is the longest day and the one that will generate the most power. So if you put 2 panels on there, that's enough to do not only your habitation battery, but also your vehicle battery as well. So you're never going to get stuck, even on the dullest day. Anyway, I hope it's been alright for you. Look after yourselves, and no doubt be making another video soon. Bye.